Yep.
3,
All right.
2, and 1.
Hey folks, welcome back to your Frederick Real Estate Update. I am Darren Aher with RE/MAX Results, bringing you over 20 years experience in the Maryland and Pennsylvania entire region. I also have with me the wingman, the man with the money over at Presidential Bank, the one and only Mr.
Terry Kern.
Hey buddy, how are you?
Great, how are you doing?
Good. I got my RE/MAX shirt on today. You got your Presidential shirt on today. We're in the business attire today.
We're sporting our teams.
That's it. So, all right. Well, hope everybody is doing well. Thanks for tuning in. I just want to remind everybody, if you go on WFMD.com and go in the drop-down menu for all of our newer listeners, if you go on to your Frederick Real Estate Update, Terry, this is program number 305. I think I might have forgotten to announce we did number 300. But today is show number 305, so you have a lot of past stuff there to be able to go through, and we would encourage you to check out because we do give a lot of updates every single week on what's happening and some of the hottest topics you're going to hear about in real estate, and we like to fine-tune whatever's being disseminated out there and many, many other avenues. We're giving you a lot of our local stuff here and also what's happening across the board in the mortgage and real estate industry. So I like to talk, Terry, as you know, in real time of what I deal with because there's just so much involved that you can tackle, in a given one moment of what it is you need to pay attention in real estate. I really think carefully through what are the most predominant things, and I do talk to a lot of agents and friends of mine all over the country to be able to find out what are the biggest things that they are dealing with as well. I just got back this week from being in DC at the mid-year, they call it, for real estate. There were about 12,000 real estate agents in DC, and we're dealing with a lot of really hot topic, everything from legal things that are coming down the pipeline that's happening on predominantly national levels. But I like to find out and talk to agents all the time about what are you seeing in your market as far as inventory, buyer demand, what are the biggest problems and challenges you're dealing with, and see if that relates to what I'm dealing with each and every day on the same basis and all that. So kind of falls in line. What are the biggest worries and things? And of course, we love to take your calls and information, and so you're definitely able to call at any time. Our information's at the end, not only to get help professionally, but also to get your ideas on what you're feeling and thinking in the real estate market retrospect to what the national news and other outlets are sharing and all that. So, all right, let's get right to it, to the numbers real quick, Terry, because we're going to spend the entire segment today on the hottest topic in the mortgage world and finance and how it affects real estate. What is this going to do in every aspect for buyers, how it's going to affect sellers, but predominantly more so how it's going to affect buyers coming forward with this whole thing. All right, so stay tuned. We're going to do that here in a minute. Active resale homes on the market, 256 last week. I think we were like 261. So our goal was we were hoping. We were hoping every single day that we would actually see a net gain of homes on the market that's more readily for sale buyers to choose from. And if anything, we've just seen it kind of come backwards a little bit. People are saying, why is that? It's just simple. It's because buyer demand is outpacing seller willingness to put their home on the market. That's exactly what's going on. So 256 actives, and that includes everything. That's 152 resales, and new construction is down to 104. We may actually see brand new builds in our area. The entire county get below 100, which that's just crazy to me. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is, a lot of those are just the same listings day after day after day, and they're advertising a community, okay? But when you start to see a shrinkage, that means that the builders that have the onesies and twosies are selling those. And I was at the Frederick County Builders and Industries Association Awards dinner the other night on Wednesday night. Unbelievable event, great event. But basically, there was a lot of upbeat in the building business. And, part of it is, the lots. We got to get more lots. And those are very hard to find. But overall, it's very positive. There's a tremendous amount of demand. Even though the numbers aren't showing so much, there is demand for the new construction. Challenges are, one, getting them built, with the labor force that we have that we've talked about so many times. But the second thing is lots. Need to get lots into the system. And that's not happening as fast as it should be. So, but yeah, that number's gonna, as long as the demand's this high, I don't see that number going up, and I see it actually going down like you're saying.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So the average it's important to say, I always like to do, is the 30 days right now in our area. So that's come down. We were seeing at a point where we were kind of getting nervous. It was starting to get up into that. We were starting to see it get to like 52, 53 average days in the market.
I think 57 was the highest back in November, December.
Yeah, that's right. It was about 57. We were in the 50s for a while there and starting to think, well, if things stay on this kind of pace at this point, not knowing what the spring market was even going to look like, what's those numbers going to fare for us? And so now we're back to 30, 29, 30, and that's right in line with national numbers I'm going to share here in a minute. All right, so new construction, the single family or resales, the ones that are for sale now, average on the market is $559.9 is an average sale price. Whereas brand new builds, we're above 700. It's 720 is an average single family home. There were 63 of them. So there's those numbers there. The coming soon 65, which isn't terrible at all. We were hoping to get to 100. I think we need to break 100 to really outpace buyer demand.
You've been saying that for 3 years.
And that's the thing, and we're just not seeing it.
We're not seeing it. We're just not seeing it. We haven't seen it for 3 years.
The only thing that's going to get that coming soon number, Terry, I think, to get above 100 consistently is if we start to see job loss and people no longer being able to afford and hang on to their homes. They're going to relinquish that by selling and being able to just pay their bills, pay for life, and not worrying about what the future holds if that starts happening. That's what I'm feeling. Pending under contracts, 527 out of the ones that are under contract. We have 180 that are new, 347 resales. And so when you bank that 347 are waiting to settle coming up versus the 152 active resales, we've got 2.5 weeks of supply. If you look at it from that point of view, 17 average days on the market for those that are pending. So there again, I just met a seller this yesterday morning and very early. It's one of the earliest listing appointments I ever had. 7 o'clock in the morning. I was like, holy cow. Like we have everybody's just, their schedules in life, people's lives are very interesting whenever you're literally, recently I'm meeting with sellers at 7 o'clock in the morning and then you have buyers signing paperwork. We're doing offers at literally midnight. I was at a kitchen table at midnight. Somebody's going to say that's craziness, not when an offer is due at midnight and that's the home that they want. That is not crazy. That's just basically what it's happening within the constraints of the time frames that people are demanding now to be able to have things turned in and done and all that. So I feel like real estate's turning into Amazon when the Amazon truck shows up literally at midnight and I'm trying to get sleep and my kids are yelling and screaming, the Amazon truck is here. I love it. Yes, we're getting I got my gadget from my computer and then I literally, Terry, my kids are greeting the Amazon driver at 11 o'clock or midnight at the front door. And I can hear them at 1 o'clock in the morning tearing down their computer and putting new components in to make it faster and better at 1 o'clock in the morning. We just have a different way of doing life these days. It's wild.
It's we want it now.
It's the now. You can't get more now than that. Sold in the past 30 days, 319, and the average time 17 days in the market. So that was, that was the resale numbers that I'm paying attention to on that regard. I wanted to hit in that 101.4. We've been like right in that area of what buyers are willing to pay, and that's just simply because we still have almost half the homes on the market are getting multiple offers. And so that number, again, we are not seeing that number come down whatsoever simply because of how much demand. Year-to-date numbers are interesting. We're right at about 1,200. It was 1,199 year-to-date today. Brand new builds were new homes that have sold in the county in this last year to date till now is 288, and resales was 911. Within the resales 9/11, the average time all year long of the sales is 25 average days in the market. And the sold to list price was literally, Terry, you can't make this up, it was literally right on 100%. And so that is about as healthy as it gets. I've said on the program before, until we see resales list to sell ratios get down to about under 96 or 95, that's just, we're just seeing sellers basically getting basically what they're asking for in all respects of home sales. So those are the numbers. I'm sticking to it. Those are the factual black and white things like that. The only thing I'll share real quick, Terry, just for a minute, is the Maryland Hot Topics sheet that we have out. That's awesome. And units. This is the volume thing, and this is what people
Now,
get.
this is for the state of Maryland. We just covered Frederick. So
Yeah.
this is the
So state of Maryland, and Frederick is flowing quite nicely behind this, trending with it. Is the average, the amount of homes that are selling, which is volume, not value, but volume. The amount of homes were down 27.4% at the end of March. April's numbers literally, I think, come out tomorrow. So I didn't have those yet. The average price, we're still up 1.2 at this point. And so if you take that forward, basically, we should see about 5 to 6% appreciation of home values as a whole. That's the average median across the board. But if you go on the higher end levels, probably more in the 800,000 and above, they're going to be lucky to come in at 3.5% values going up this year. If you come under probably say 300 or 350, that's going to not be 5 or 6%. That could easily be 7 or 8% by the end of the year. But we're all going to find out together, because that's what I love about following these numbers to see where's the trends going. The bottom line is it's amazing. We're not going to have a flat year this year unless something massively crashes economically. We're not going to see a flat year at all, or just a 1% growth gain. And if you listen to about 2 or 3 programs back, we had a fun time going through all of the years in the last 70, 80 years that we've been tracking real estate numbers. We can obviously just look at maybe 2 or 3 times ever that we've seen it down. And of course, we know 07, 8, 9, and 10 was catastrophic. And of course, 1990 and 91, it was down. And then there was one other time frame before that, and everything else, at worst case, we saw was flat. And that's very, very rare. We probably have 85% of the time where it's actually been positive, at least 3%. But now we've had years in past recently. If you listen to that program, we're seeing a whole bunch of years that are just double-digit growth figures. And that was obviously during the pandemic, seeing 15, 20% was no problem in 1 year, which is insane. So we're getting back to a lot more normal, which is really, really good. The big thing that's not normal is we've got to get more inventory. It's just there's just no homes for sale out there hardly. I still, to this day, I just set somebody up on a brand new search, Terry, where I put their whole criteria, everything they want to be in. They're willing to be in 3 different counties in our area, and literally in their price range and what they're looking for, there was like 7 homes came up for sale, and they were like, seriously? Yeah, well, that's what's going on. So,
wow.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot.
Yeah. All right, let's go. What's happening? We're going to talk about the LLPA, the loan level price adjustment stuff that we started in last week. We're going to do the whole rest of this segment of this, because this is going blindside. This is going to sideswipe people coming up with purchasing, especially, I think it's after October 1st. So go.
So let's talk a little bit about what happened this week in the mortgage market. I talked about it last week. The Consumer Price Index was Wednesday. Thursday came out with the PPI. The numbers were in line with expectations. So the CPI was up 0.4%, which was right on the market. They were expecting up 0.3%, and the Producer Price Index, that's the cost to make items for the factories, and that number was at 0.2. So what that did was that pointed to easing of inflation. Okay, so it's continuing to ease. It's the 10th or 11th straight month that it's gotten better. So now we're on an average of about 5% year over year. So that is a number that is trending good. When that news was good, it basically is good for the interest rates. Okay, so what we're seeing a trend in rates. They're not under 6%, but by the end of the year, the feeling is that they're going to be under 5 or under 6% by the end of the year. So let's talk about your conference. You were there with 12,000 realtors from all over the country. I was at a conference on Tuesday at the MGM down in National Harbor, and there was over 400 mortgage lenders from this area that were there for our annual conference. And people, we had a meeting afterwards, and I saw a lot of people I started in the business with 35 years ago. It was just great. But basically, what the topic that we talked about last week and the topic we're going to talk about today, the LLPAs, okay? The loan level price adjustment, okay? Hottest topic. Now, I'm going to ask real quick, at the Realtor Convention, was that a topic that came up?
Yes, it did. I was in one meeting that during the sessions that this did come up, and of course the big thing is you guys have to learn about this very quickly and how this is going to affect with all your buyers on what loan program. And so they're basically, to be honest with you, they basically are saying, hey, whatever loan officer, whatever mortgage person that you're, the first thing the questions came up is there going to be a variance? How much of a difference is there going to be between lenders with this whole thing? How is this going to affect? Is it ironclad? Is it absolutely, the same no matter where somebody gets their loan from? There were a lot of those questions that came up, and they were coming probably, I'm suspecting, from a little bit newer agents and learning like who's instituting this, how does it work? And the big thing was, how do we help our clients, buyers, when it comes to them getting a loan with this entire program? That was what most of it revolved around. So I'm going to let you answer that.
So that's been the hottest topic that I've had to face. We've addressed it on our managers' calls with presidential. We've addressed it with my calls with the office. And that's the number one question that we're getting. Why and how can somebody have bad credit and get a lower rate than somebody with good credit?
Yep.
Okay? So that is the deal. That's the question. So Bob Brokesmith is the president of the Mortgage Bankers Association. He's been around for a long, long time, and he's a real sharp guy. And he is our president that represents our association on the national level. He gave the opening speech, the State of the Union, on Tuesday morning, and everybody listened, and I came away with this information. And what he said made so much sense and explained it right out of the bat. And I'm going to tell you a story in a minute, but what he basically said was the LLPA, everybody is wondering why you are going to have a higher rate, a higher payment, because you have better credit.
Yep.
And that is not true. Okay? So he was saying that basically, so here's what it is. The LLPA came out, and it basically came out with Fannie and Freddie. And Fannie and Freddie are quasi-government agencies. They were created by an act of Congress, and they are basically controlled by the FH.
When was it, and why did Congress create them?
I believe it was back in the 60s, but what the federal government wants to do is they want people to buy houses. We know that, and the reason that they want people to buy houses is because,
Stronger communities,
better education, better wealth, the whole yada yada.
Which equals more tax money can come in.
Yes.
The opportunity to have more tax money is there now.
So Fannie and Freddie were created with the mindset of they are not going to originate a loan. That's my job. They're not going to service a loan. Who services the loans? People like U.S. Bank, people like Wells Fargo, the big monster guys. They service the loans. So when we close the loans, we will sell them on the secondary market. So you say, well, what does Fannie and Freddie do? Fannie and Freddie will buy these loans, and they will have somebody else service them. So they will buy a loan, and they will back that loan. They will guarantee that loan. So what, by creating them, did it do is it created a tremendous amount of liquidity into the mortgage-backed security market that allows us to have competition, right? The higher the supply, the lower the cost, right? So when the federal government gets involved and they're putting it into the system, what that's doing is that is actually creating a bigger supply of money, so we're able to offer it at a lower price. If there were only 2 or 3 people offering to buy loans, the rates would be even higher, right? Because the demand would be high, but they could actually call their shots. So Fannie and Freddie basically last year, they came up and they said, okay, there are certain loans that are going to be, they're going to be dinged or hit or whatever you want to say, that are higher risk loans. They're going to be hit with adjustments, okay? And those adjustments are basically for, if you have a lower credit score, you're going to get a ding. If you have a lower loan to value, you're going to get a ding. You're going to get an adjustment, okay? And so they came out with this matrix. They came out with this LLPA matrix, and everybody looked at it and we scratched our head and said, are you serious? Like, if you had a 680 credit score and your credit score dropped down by 1 point to 679, you had up to a 1.375 hit, which means if you had a $400,000 loan, then you had to pay an additional about $7,500 on that loan. It was crazy. So what they basically said is, every loan out there is becoming an at-risk loan. We're not just going to go after the guys that have the bad credit. We're just not going to go after the guys that are putting no money down. What we're going to do is we're going to revamp the matrix. So the first matrix that they came out with, if you had good credit and were putting money down, there were no adjustments thrown your way. What they have done is they have created a new matrix, which everybody in the industry says now it's fair. So what Bob said at the opening speech was, had they given us this matrix first to go off of, there never would have been the questions that have come up and the accusations that have come up. Wow. So what they did was they gave us the first matrix. It was totally out of line. One of the things that was totally out of line was that if your debt to income went over 40%, which most loans do go over 40%, that is your total debt divided into your gross income. If that number is above 40%, most loans are 40, 42, 43, that you were getting dinged by a full point on that. And the industry basically said, you can't do this. This is ridiculous. So they went back to the drawing board, came out with the new matrix, and basically that 678 credit score, okay, compared to the 800, that is not getting adjusted nearly as much. But what they're doing is they're spreading the adjustments evenly, so everybody is absorbing the adjustments that they wanted to accomplish, okay? The new matrix makes sense. Are you going to get a lower payment because you have bad credit? No. There are people out there that are saying, don't make a payment on your credit card so your credit scores go down. Idiotic.
Yeah,
Stupid,
I know.
Crazy.
Exactly. We want to make this really known, Terry, to everyone out there listening. Because of this new thing, the worst thing you can do not do anything negatively that would hurt your credit, so you can say, hey, it's not a big deal. I'm going to get a better interest rate or pay less for a mortgage by having a lower credit score. So what if I miss a car payment or a rent payment or this or that or whatever it is? Terry, that's going to be more detrimental because we've talked over and over. Your FICO credit score is one of the key biggest drivers now for getting qualified. It seems like almost more than ever before.
The other thing that everybody's saying is it's taking place May 1st. You know, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do that. It's May 1st and da-da-da-da. They told us about this in February. This has been around, so we actually have baked in that adjustment already. Right. because it's loans purchased after May 1st. So a contract going March 1st and settling April 15th, that they're going to meet the May 1st deadline, but somebody settling now. So we as an industry have already adjusted the prices. It's not, so I'm going to tell
It's not coming.
it's not what it is.
Right.
So I'm going to tell a very quick story that Bob talked about. And Bob said that, the National Association has gotten a tremendous amount of calls and, scathing, you guys are, ruining us. We're never going to be able to buy a house. The
Hate mail.
Fear breeds fear.
Right.
All these people, they don't know what's going on and it's all being spread. So CBS News called Bob and said, we want to do an interview about this, this new matrix and what they're doing with the LLPAs. So he sat down and started interviewing, and it was a taped interview. And he told the story to all 500 of us that was there. And they're halfway through the interview, and the cameraman looked at the guy interviewing, and he goes, do we have a story here? And the guy goes, no,
Not really.
We don't have a story here. It's not
Fake
what everybody
news.
thinks it is. It is really, it's not that big of a deal. So CBS never even ran. They didn't run it. No, they didn't.
It hasn't even come public. None of that.
No, because the bottom line is that the new matrix
Yep.
takes care of a very bad matrix that was
Previous.
previous.
Right.
And it justified everything that they do, but our adjustments on the new matrix for somebody with good credit,
Yep.
but the adjustments for somebody with marginal credit or mid credit have been lowered from what they were. Did I explain
Yep,
that okay?
it's good.
Does that
Yep.
make sense?
All right.
Do you think that answered a lot of questions?
I do. I think that was really good. This is the bottom line, guys. It's built into it. Terry's explained it really well. We're here for you. You guys, at the end, we're going to have our information. Make sure you call us, and we're going to be able to help you first and foremost to be able to sit down and go over your particular life and situation, because it's a little bit different for everybody, and we want to make sure your questions are answered and you're not flipping out and going crazy about all the crazy news. So, all right, take care. We'll be here next week. Have a great weekend. Happy buying and selling on your Frederick Real Estate Update. Take care now.